Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another one of our Wednesday Q&A features. We will be doing just the one more of these as we do our final predictions for WrestleMania next week in a live Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure taping. But for now, we are answering your questions, whatever they may be. We will be live for as long as there are questions to answer. So if you'd like to make sure we are live for as long as you can get us, you need to make sure you are asking as many questions as you can and trying to make sure you hit like, subscribe and the like to make sure that plenty of people are in the room asking those questions. Plenty of people already saying hi. We have Omega, Sean, Spider Boss, CCC, Aled, Joseph, Daz, Eric, a huge Alexa Bliss fan. Interesting. And Christoph already saying hi. So I'm going to read out the questions people are asking, answer them as best I can, and then essentially move on from there. Pardon me, need a quick drink. And then move on from there. When we are out of questions, we will wrap up. So to start with, on the Twitch side, Omega just shouts Tom Colohue. Sean says, hello, Tom. According to PWInsider, there are plans to bring in Randy Orton for WrestleMania weekend. This is, after all, consistent with what I did say as regards my report on Randy Orton's return schedule. He will not be wrestling at WrestleMania, but there is a potential for an appearance of some sort. Spider-Boss says, hello, Tom. Why does Becky get involved in Bayley versus Rhea on Raw? Because if she didn't, there would be no segment on Monday Night Raw that advertises her upcoming match. Much the same way Bayley would be on, but Becky wouldn't. She was there to advertise her own match. Spider-Boss says, do you think she should get better booking? Depends what you mean by better booking. The original plan was Becky versus Bayley. Personally, I was very excited for that. CCC says, big up, Tom. Alad says, hello, Tom. Joseph says hi to everyone. Daz says, big up, Tom. How do you think Kenny will do in singles action? I think Kenny Omega is one of the best singles wrestlers in the world, mate. One of the best singles wrestlers in the world. Eric says, any news on Ospreay's injury? Nothing major, but he will need to take some time away in order to recover. So we're, of course, going to make sure he gets that time. Huge Alexa Bliss fan says, does WWE still think Bliss can be a world champion again, or have those days gone? Yes and no. Different people think different things. Alex says, Tom, do you think Cody will have the Cody Vader entrance at WrestleMania like he did last year? Yes, I do. It's the only thing that really makes sense. After all, it's Cody. They'll make sure he gets a very strong entrance. I did speak a couple of weeks ago on Spoiler Warning about who is expected to get big entrances at WrestleMania. They were planning one for Bray Wyatt. That no longer seems like it's going to be the case. Joseph says, Tom, Austin Theory was on the burn. He admitted that John Cena is going to beat him. He may have suggested that, but honestly, I simply don't believe that John Cena is going to beat him. That's just not what I personally believe. Christoph, hello, how are you? Omega shouts, Tegan Knox. And then Spider-Boss says, according to WrestleVotes, isn't so certain the Roman loses at WrestleMania 39. Is that true? I have shared my opinion with you many times, Spider-Boss. You hear it pretty much every show. You know exactly what I think is going to happen. Spider-Boss says, do you think Ronda makes it to WrestleMania 39? Yeah, in some capacity. CCC is apparently not loving the build to this WrestleMania, which is weird because honestly, looking at the match card, I'm really excited for this year's WrestleMania. Ken Thompson says, do you think the Glazers will sell Man United? Yes, because they are after money, and after all, they've leached the club for all the money they can get from it. Now they need a sale to lead to some more. Christoph says, I was somehow hoping to maybe see Randy on Raw since it was in St. Louis. There was no intention to do that. Randy Orton is not someone who's expected to turn up at WWE soon. Razar says, I saw SoFi Stadium being set up for Mania. Looks like it'll be daylight in the stadium for most of the show since it's on the West Coast. Do you like the daytime or nighttime setting for shows? Personally, I prefer the nighttime setting. However, what I really like is when they go from the daytime to the nighttime. That for me really works out quite nicely. Golden Moody says, do you think LA Knight will have a segment at WrestleMania? A segment? Yes. Omega is shouting, Heidenreich. Barry says, any spoilers I've given in the past? Where what I thought to be true at the time to the best of my knowledge. Any mistakes I made were honest mistakes, and I'm not a massive lying turd. Honest, someone has been watching the elements of Boris Johnson. Christian says, I'm guessing Bray is out, so if he is, who will Lashley face? LA Knight. For the moment, there is no plan clearly in place for LA Knight. To my knowledge, he does not currently have a WrestleMania match lined up. Though, of course, if Bobby Lashley is looking for someone new, and he is, LA Knight is a possibility. I just think there are other options as well that could be considered. For example, Bronson Reed, someone like that. Baron Corbin. Whatever happened to that guy? Lauren says John Cena hasn't won a match in years. Very true, and I don't necessarily see him winning a match this year either. Eric says, do you think Cody brings back the winged belt? No. Trekipedia says, hi Tom, what's up? Heard Alexa is doing better, hope she'll be back soon. As I say, and as I've reported previously, Alexa Bliss has been waiting for a call from the WWE. The surgeries that she's had is relatively minor and not something that would have required a long period out, certainly not the length of time that has so far been given. She requested a certain amount of time and she has largely not had a response since because she's been looking for WrestleMania plans and they have not provided them for her. Ross says, evening all. Hello, Ross. CCC is asking, what's the worst WrestleMania ever? I think it's all globally recognised as WrestleMania 9. Hello, Parrish, how you doing, mate? Rizal says, are there singles push plans for Montez Ford? Seemed they were going to do it last year after Money in the Bank. Such a star, in my opinion. Well, there are definite intentions for Montez Ford to go far in the company. However, they are not willing to put him over someone else who is currently in a single spot. Montez Ford, by and large, is still considered a tag team wrestler and looks like he's going to be for the near future. It's worth remembering Montez Ford and, in fact, Angelo Dawkins were both used against Seth Rollins when Triple H first took over. He simply believes very highly in both of them and wants to give them as many exhibition matches as possible. Exhibition matches, I should say. Joey says, do you think Bobby will still have a match? Since the match of Bray is off and he hasn't been on any of the shows. Once again, the match of Bray is not being confirmed as off as of yet. We need to know if that's going to happen before we can start saying otherwise. Golden Moody says, would love to see LA Knight get a spot like at Mania like Owens did last year, and it doesn't even have to be with Austin. So Golden Moody, what you're thinking is that LA Knight is worthy of a main event spot for WrestleMania. Nobody in WWE believes that, not yet. Spiderboss says, do you see Trinity Fatu, formerly known as Naomi, returning to wrestling, or is she done with wrestling? I don't necessarily think she's done with wrestling. I think she's more likely to return to the WWE certainly sooner than Sasha Banks or Mercedes Money now is. But we'll wait and see what actually happens. She certainly wasn't happy about the way she left. And the tag team championships that her and Mercedes were pushing for have not exactly been respected since. Aled says, John Cena technically won a match on the last SmackDown of last year to tag match with Kevin Owens. Sean says, Alexa underwent a skin cancer procedure to have a basal cell carcinoma, which is the most common type of skin cancer. Thank you for clarifying that, Sean. Trekipedia says, I think WrestleMania 13 is very underrated, but for me, WrestleMania 2000 was a letdown. Backlash was what Mania 2000 should have been. I don't think WrestleMania 13 is all that underrated, to be honest, when you consider that it's got a 5-star match on it. And one that a lot of people really enjoyed. Aled says, I hope they will release merch with Cody holding the titles after Mania, because I want it. Christian says, who do you think will be the surprise returns NXT call-ups that will be on Raw after Mania? I don't necessarily think there will be surprise returns NXT call-ups on Raw after Mania. I think we'll wait until the draft, and then we'll start getting some people pop up. Also, it's not really a surprise if everyone keeps telling you who they think they are. Ken says, I am not a... Okay... Ken, I don't know what the hell is happening there, but I'm going to put you in timeout. I don't think you really have any idea what's actually being said here, but you should really pay more attention. Christoph says, per Fightful, thank you for sourcing, Carmella was pulled out of last weekend's house show, was already planned to be replaced on Raw. That time, but her creative plans are still the same. Do you have anything more? Nope. I've heard absolutely nothing on Carmella. It's one of many situations where I can honestly say, hand on heart, I know absolutely nothing. It's not the first, won't be the last. There's plenty of situations I know nothing on. Spiderboss says, seeing how WWE's booked the women's tag team titles, I get why Mercedes Money didn't return. Joey says, does Tony Khan have real interest in Goldberg, or was it just speculation? A little from column A, a little from column B. I don't think there is major interest in Goldberg unless it's something like a Powerhouse Hobbs match. Something for Wardlow. If Goldberg would come in and put some people over, it would get viewers, and that would be something that they could use as a platform that would further encourage everything that was going on. However, when it came to the idea that Goldberg is, well, as I've already said previously, that Goldberg essentially is trying to get people talking about him so he can demand more money from the WWE, this is just another example of that. Given that you're called huge Alexa Bliss fan, you keep asking questions about Alexa Bliss, I'm going to stop answering questions about Alexa Bliss from you. Your name screams biased, and I don't really feel that I can trust that. I just don't. Also, the questions you're asking are really impossible ones. The Dude 4220 says, Tom, what's your favourite WrestleMania match? It is without doubt, and I know a lot of people really didn't like this one, but it's my personal favourite, the WrestleMania 12 main event, the Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. I love how it built over the course of the match. I love the finish, and I just love both wrestlers involved. Sean says, Sammy and Kevin are heavy favourites over the Usos. Viking Raiders are the favourites. Edge is now a favourite. Finn was a favourite a few days ago. Sheamus was the favourite, but now Gunter is. Gunter has always been one of my favourites. And when it comes to the plans for the matches, I have Finn, I have Sammy and KO. I definitely have Gunter. Eric Douglas says, I'm confused about Roxanne. First we hear she might be back in time for Stand and Deliver. Then on NXT we hear we don't know when she's coming back. Yeah, information does get updated, mate. The same information isn't always the same. Sometimes you learn more as time goes on. Sometimes you say, this is the situation now, and then things change. It does happen. Sean says, what do you think are these big plans that have been reported for Triple H has for the Raw after Mania? I do not recall reporting that Triple H has big plans for after Mania, but given that after Mania is the season opener, of course he's got big plans. It's the Raw after Mania. What do you think is going to happen there? Spider-Boss says, what's the WrestleMania main event that you didn't like? There's a few. I wasn't that big a fan of Kevin Owens, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Had to be really slow-paced. Adam says, I apologise, not trying to be hypothetical or anything, but if Vince McMahon returns to creative, will Braun Strowman stay or be released? Adam, I don't think you're learning this. You're saying, if this thing happens, will this thing happen? Until this thing happens, I don't know if this thing's going to happen. This thing might not happen at all. We need to get better than that. Hello, Wiggly. How are you? FDR says, hello, Tom. How are you? Doing well, thank you, FDR. Welcome to the show. Trekkipedia says, people saying Roxanne could be main roster bound, but I would like to think there'll be a better way to do it. I would hope so as well. Vegeta says, opinion on Cameron Grimes. I didn't initially like him when we first went 2.0, but he found his groove with Ted DiBiase. He really did. Razar says, did you see the new SummerSlam logo? Looked pretty cool. If you could book one men's and women's match for the show, what would it be? I still want Becky versus Bayley, so I'd still like Becky versus Bayley. As regards the men's side, if I'm booking any match I want, I'd like a one-on-one match between Gunter and Drew McIntyre this time, please. Daz, I've not played 2K23 at this point, and as regards The Rock, yes, he will definitely go in the Hall of Fame at some point. FDR says, are you going to buy 2K23? Maybe. Will says, that's why we like you, Tom. If you don't know, you just say, I don't know. And to be fair, Will, I should say, I've started reading the next comment, I apologise. To be fair, Will, this will happen. Yeah, will happen. More often than not, because there is plenty of information I absolutely do not have, and I do not mess around or play around with that. If I don't know, I don't know. Joey says, do you think Vince will try and get involved with negotiations and bring Goldberg back? Nope. Or would it be Nick Khan's decision? Yeah. Nick Khan's the CFO. Also, I got to be blunt. Nobody wants him back. Nobody wants Goldberg back. There's a reason he hasn't come back. Nobody wants him back. I've been reporting this one for a while. Okay, we are talking matches that everyone liked at WrestleMania. Christoph says, who do you see winning the men's Fatal 4-Way at Mania? I picked the Viking Raiders. Personally, with how the Street Profits have been picking up losses recently, I'm going Street Profits. Though this, of course, may be the moment when we see a Street Profit breakup. Mr. Stumble says, Tom, will there be a big reveal at Mania that Ezekiel and Elias are the same person, and that Kevin Owens going berserk was and then Kevin Owens goes berserk for a crazy man gimmick? No, because that would be impossible to do. Like, you'd have some serious smoke and mirrors, some green screen to actually make it look like they're the same person. Ryan says, holy crap, it's only 10 days to Mania. That snuck up fast. How long do you think each day will be? Around 4 hours for each. Hope the day is going well. Personally, Ryan, my expectation is that we'll get 4 hours of main card and 2 hours of pre-show, making for a grand total of 12 hours of WrestleMania. Most people will only watch actually about 8. Hello, Brad, how are you? Leon says, do you think Bron Breakker is ready for a main roster call-up? Yes, I do, and I think he's been ready for about 2 years. Juana Roscoe says, hey, Tom, what are the chances for Mercedes Money appearing for AEW? Now that she said she's open to the Forbidden Door, it is exactly the same chance that it was previously. She's available, they will need to convince her. Spider-Boss says, I'm still wondering why WWE added Lita and Trish to the Bayley versus Becky feud. So is everyone, but a large part of it does come down to the Dakota Kai injury. Just as a reminder, we do have 45 viewers and only the 15 likes. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. It does help the channel grow and also helps these streams keep going, because once we're out of questions, we are out of show. Hello, 2 Super, how are you? Spiderboss says, do you see Jade Cargill going to WWE at some point? Impossible to answer. Adam thinks Disney are going to buy WWE. Alex says, do you think Cody will hold the title until SummerSlam or longer? Yes. Ray says, where do you think FTR will end up? I maintain my previous position. I believe they are going to go to the WWE. To be clear, that is my opinion. That is not a report. I've been reporting ahead of time that there is clear WWE interest, and I've been reporting that their contracts are coming to an end. At the moment, they've apparently made a decision, and we'll find out shortly. Trichopedia says, if WWE doesn't get sold and does a new media rights deal, could you see them negotiating to put Raw back to 2 hours? No. Joey says, why are they doing a musical performance at Mania? Feels like some Disney garbage. Because why on earth not? Who doesn't love music? Joseph says, Tom, could you see Vince getting involved in any matches of Mania? He already is involved in multiple matches of WrestleMania. Wiggly says, do you think Braun might face Lashley at Mania instead of Bray? No. 2 Super says, Paige and MJF versus Okada and Mercedes. That's unlikely, mate. It's unlikely. No, I will not be watching Dynamite tonight. I have a full-time job. I cannot stay up till 3 in the morning every single night. That's the reason for it. You gotta calm down. Gotta calm down. Spiderboss says, do you think that WWE shouldn't break up Alpha Academy? I think Alpha Academy have gone as far as they possibly can. They need to do something new with both of them. They've got the talent. They just need the opportunity. Joey says, why in the men's tag team match getting a stipulation but the women's match is? What's the stipulation for the women's match? I wasn't aware there was a stipulation. Sean says, I did think Miz vs Cena was a good enough main event for WrestleMania 27. I mean, we are where we are with that one. They certainly made something of the Miz, and it was John Cena. Juan says, hey Tom, you're the only YouTuber with accurate reports. Having confidence in AEW getting a new TV deal, while others think it will get cut after this year. I definitely don't think AEW is getting cut. Like, it might not be the most financially beneficial TV deal compared to what they've got at the moment, but they'll get a new TV deal. Like, everyone really expected AEW to take on WWE. And I know why, because AEW kept telling them they were going to take on WWE. It was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. I think from day one with AEW, I've been a realist. It was never going to happen. They have the opportunity to build something great. They could one day take on the WWE. But when we had Chris Jericho saying, oh, they're going to start beating Raw week in, week out, it was never going to happen. Never. Adam doesn't see Vince going back into creative. Okay. Randall says, will Balor be purple? There is a rumour about that, yes. I don't know beyond that. I just know there's a rumour about it. I mean, why not? Judgment Day colours. Shadowron says, hi Tom, what are your top 3 WrestleManias? So WrestleMania 34 has got to be up there for me. I really enjoyed that one, especially when you consider that we had the opening 2 matches of Finn Balor versus The Miz versus Seth Rollins, and then we followed that up with Charlotte versus Asuka, 2 really great matches that had plenty of enjoyable matches in between as well. I really enjoyed 35, Kofi Mania, Seth Rollins opening as well on that one. I'm a Seth Rollins fan in case you didn't spot it. After that I go back a little bit. I enjoyed 17, same as anyone else. That had a real big effect on me. So I'll go 34, 35 and 12 though. I liked 12. I just really like 12. Vegeta says, do you think every Survivor Series will be War Games every year? It certainly was this year, and I don't see any reason that would change. Hello, Venom. FDR says, which matches do you think is going to be the best and worst of Mania 39? I'm not going to sit here and choose a worst match. I'm not going to sit here and say, this is going to suck. That's not what we do here. What I will say, I think the best match is going to be the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat. Christoph says, will it be the first time you're doing a WrestleMania watch-along this year? No, I've done it for the last 2 years as well. I've been doing full-time streaming since 2021, January 15th. We are more than 2 years into this, and I know plenty of people have found us along the way. I want to say thank you to all the newer viewers, but we also have plenty of you who've been around for a very long time as well. Traffic says, good evening, Tom and chat. Thanks as always. Welcome, Traffic. Joseph says, everyone, I can't wait to watch WrestleMania with Tom. Would be my first time. I get to break some WrestleGinities. 2 Super says, do you think Cody will beat Roman without any help, or do you see shenanigans coming into place? I think Cody's going to beat Roman. I think there'll be shenanigans, but I think Cody's going to beat Roman. Spiderboss says, do you think Finn Balor will bring the Demon King for WrestleMania? I think we're pretty much exactly there on that one. Plenty of reports on it, and of course plenty of suggestions from Edge. I know Jericho was saying that, Vegeta. I did say Jericho. Rosario is saying the men's tag match participants were just announced. The women's tag teams have to qualify, which is interesting since the women's tag division has no depth. It is a way that they can guarantee that they have women's matches on the card, even though they're not planning any actual women's matches on the card for SmackDown. Venom says, what are your predictions for the winners at Mania and NXT Stand and Deliver? Our WWE Wrestlemania predictions will be this time next week. If you want my predictions beyond that, I have uploaded a video right after Elimination Chamber, after Royal Rumble in fact, predicting the WrestleMania card. You'd be surprised how accurate it is just based on those predictions, where I predict most of the matches already lined up. As for Stand and Deliver, couldn't tell you what the card is. No idea. Sean says, Nia said she's interested in going to AEW. Same reason Goldberg says it. They're trying to drum up interest and convince someone to hire them. Joey says, Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ were robbed of the main event at 34. They pushed that match for Roman and Brock. They didn't. Roman versus Brock was a planned match a year beforehand. It was always a planned main event. And they knew that the Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles match was going to end in a low blow. They didn't want that to main event WrestleMania. Allied, I'm not uploading a WrestleMania predictions video. I'm doing a WrestleMania predictions live video this time next week. It will be in place of this here Q&A. It'll be a live predictions video with myself and Nick Barbatti of Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure. Vegeta says if he was still in WWE, he would say AEW sucks, isn't going to put over the other company. Who's that? Who's that? Venom says, have you ever done an NXT watch-along before, Tom? Yes, I have. I did them alongside our very own Ed Fries and spent basically the entire time in a podcast style chatting about things because I've got to be honest, Ed knows NXT. I don't. I don't watch it. I can't. I have a full-time job. T Super says, I think Cody will bleed at Mania. Do you disagree? Yes. Tom says, what's up, chat? And Tom, don't forget to like button, or we have 4 words for you. Are you not entertained? Please do remember to hit like. We now have 56 viewers and 22 likes. Every little does help. Spider-Boss says, do you think WWE should refresh the women's division? I think they already have, and have added a lot of people to it. A draft right now and a bit of swapping around would go a long way. Randall, once again, predictions are coming next week. Traffic says, do you see Dom and Rhea being by each other's side for their matches, or do they give them their own time in the spotlight versus their respective opponents? I see them being by each other's side, though I do sort of expect Dominic Mysterio to be so hurt that he ends up not really being able to support Rhea as she may require. Dominic versus Ray is expected to be on night 1, as is Rhea versus Charlotte. That says, did Jake Paul interfere next week, do you think? No, but I think he's involved in some capacity, but more in the build-up. Christoph says, how many crossroads before Cody beats Roman? I'd say 3. Let's be crazy. 1. Just 1. Just 1. Razar says, the YouTuber/influencer Lily Pons claims WWE reached out to her and offered 20 million. I found that hard to believe. What do you think of this? I don't think it's impossible. I really don't. That said, 20 million is a lot of money, especially when you consider they're not paying Logan Paul anywhere near that, and he's a guaranteed star, whereas they can't guarantee that for Lily Pons. Adam Kieran says, is Steve Carrier from Ringside News a reputable source? Reputable? No. Credible? Maybe. It depends what they're reporting. Sometimes Steve Carrier does report incredibly accurate things. For example, when Shane McMahon was fired, that was a Steve Carrier report. You have to give credit where it's due. Reputable? No. In no way, shape or form. Joseph says, could we see Jake Paul at Mania? Yes. Super says, do you see Indy joining Dexter on the main roster? Forever is a very long time. Dreckopedia says, do you see Ray retiring the SmackDown after Mania? I think that's a distinct possibility. I think he could be saying goodbye to the crowd at WrestleMania Night 1 and then saying goodbye once again via the Hall of Fame in Night 2. Leon says, what match do you think should open Night 1 and 2? I think Logan Seth should open 1. Personally, I think the tag team match, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, is a definite contender to open Night 1. I would go with the Intercontinental Triple Threat the second night. Another contender would be Asuka versus Bianca Belair. And 2 Super says, was Roxanne Perez's injury real? No. Venom says, there's the winners of the men's and women's tag matches at Mania going to get tag title matches. They have not announced anything as regards that. Joey says, do you think Butch will get a singles run since he's going to get his old, since he's going back to his old gimmick? They are talking about singles competitions. However, it depends what you mean by singles run. There is not a plan for a push, but there is a plan for a breakup of the team. Very different things. Adam, what was your question here? I don't see a question, but I see what you said about Bray Wyatt. Oh, right. The Steve Carrier thing. Yeah, that's not true. As the only person who reported that Bray Wyatt signed a new deal, I can state that that is not the case. Razal says, why have WWE stopped publicly announcing releases on their own and leaked it to journalists instead? They haven't. That's not something that's happened. Essentially, the WWE don't leak it to journalists. The wrestlers themselves may choose to do so, and certain individuals may choose to leak, but the WWE are not releasing information about releases to journalists. That is not something that they're doing. Trekopedia says, did they retire the Warrior Award? Haven't heard about it for this year's Hall of Fame. We haven't heard about a lot of things for this year's Hall of Fame. There's plenty of time for it still to be announced. I find it unlikely. Spider-Boss says, do you see Charlotte losing clean at WrestleMania 39? Yes. Yes, I do. It is, after all, Rhea Ripley, and she's fully deserving of that spot. We have been live for 26 minutes. This will be our shortest Q&A yet, because we are out of questions. Next week, we will be live for a live version of Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure. Bring your questions for myself and Nick. Any questions you ask will be live on the PWTorch Daily Cast on Saturday. So if you want to pop up on PWTorch, that's the way to make it happen. In the meantime, we will be live for Friday for Spoiler Warning and, of course, for the SmackDown Watch Party as well. Until then, all I've got to say, as per usual, is that I've been Tom Colohue, you've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.